So slow.
Obviously, this is not Greg Hunter.
Really? Is it that obvious?
It's that obvious.
Does he wear a hat? I wear a hat. He wears a hat.
Introduce yourself.
I am Sherif Hedayat, and I don't know, how are we related in any weird... David lets me use his equipment in his office to edit my comedy DVD, and I got something on my nose.
And
it's
you
not
should,
even allergy season. You
should buy his comedy DVD because otherwise he'll have to go and get a real job.
Yeah, I know. He was... You know, a lot of people think David's an asshole, but the reality of the matter is he's an awesome guy, and he's been very helpful, which leads into our point today of people working together in Dayton. We have a new mayor.
As of this morning, 10 a.m., new mayor. And immediately on the Dayton Daily News site, all the haters came out and started talking about really stupid stuff like, oh my God, he wears an earring and he wasn't wearing a suit, he was only wearing a sport coat.
My dad and I had this conversation over the past few months. I used to own a web design company, and he always said you had to dress properly to present yourself in a business situation. And I don't think it's about the way you dress. I think it's about the way you present yourself. And the guy did something right because on a limited budget, he
crushed the former mayor.
What 20,000 versus $140,000,
$120,000. I mean, a ridiculous amount of money differential, and he won. So either the problem was nobody else had the guts to run, or maybe he's got something going that the rest of you people don't have.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Motivation.
It's funny. I've never seen Steve Jobs with a shirt and tie. Nor, I don't think I've ever seen Bill Gates wearing a tie. At least not in the last 10 years. So, I don't really think wearing a suit makes a difference. I think it's the quality of your ideas.
Yeah, I think it's about saving this town money, and he did that immediately by not having a high campaign budget, which means he figured out a cheaper way to win his seat in office and not...
Ingenuity. So, what do we got to do to fix Dayton?
We got to work together. For one.
Oh my God, is that like regionalism?
Because, I mean, I know there's about 270 groups created to reinvigorate Dayton, and I've been to a couple of meetings, and one thing I noticed is that it's just like high school. It's cliques of people that hang out, and then what happens is each group comes together, and then, the only reason half the people are on these committees is just to say that they're on the committee. Nobody's really working together. I think we need one centralized site. And so far, and I can say this without any bias, the only site that I've actually looked at is Dayton Most Metro. And I know nothing about the guy. I think I've added him on Facebook. But
yeah, Bill's working hard, and he's got the young professionals backing him to put that site together. And he works on it pretty hard, and he's not getting paid for it. So, you need to check out that site. And they tend to talk more about the urban core, but he's understanding that he needs to be more regional as well. It's not just the most metro part, it's regional.
And one of the problems people have in this town, and I've been, in comedy for 15 years, I've lived here for 22, and everybody else says, why don't you leave this town? And I said, because there's so much opportunity here, there's so much networking here, and everybody's excuse is the same. There's nothing to do. I don't know what to do.
There's only nothing to do if you're basically brain dead. You can find stuff all the time. And if you can't find something, make it happen yourself. You don't have to ask permission to do stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I think most people now have a computer. They have an email. And if you don't want to actively do something, then send a link to something like Dayton Most Metro. Say, hey, man, you're looking for something to do in Dayton? Go here. It takes 2 seconds.
Or go on Craigslist and say, hey, I'm looking for somebody to go hang out with me.
Right.
And see what happens. It doesn't cost any money, and see what develops.
Craigslist is still creepy.
Craigslist has its advantages. Great place to sell stuff.
I don't know if I want to hang out with somebody I met on Craigslist.
Right.
Besides, Craigslist is not local anyway, so...
Craigslist is very local. Craigslist is hyper-local. I mean, it's not run out of Dayton, but...
Hyper-local? Like, it's so local, it's not there?
Anyways, so there are options. There are things you can do to solve this problem, but Sherif's right. We've got so many different little groups all thinking they're more important. They got the big idea, and what we need is real regional leadership. The same thing happens with 28 mayors, 28 police chiefs. We got too much of that stuff going on. If we're going to get our act together, we got to start thinking about Dayton, big Dayton. Joey Williams was talking about that in his acceptance speech this morning too. So we're not the only ones talking about this.
I was actually listening to the news in the background, and I could barely hear Gary Leitzell. And I swear to God, I was like, this guy's got a British accent. And turns out he went to school there.
He grew up in England, so yeah.
The best thing about that, and I can speak from experience of living in another country for my childhood, is we have a mayor who has lived somewhere other than Dayton. And I think he really knows how great Dayton is. And I don't think people understand how great this town is till you've lived outside of the city. Because we have so much to offer. We have great people, we have honest people, we have good networking, but everybody is trying to get out. Quit trying to get out and start working together to make a better place where you already live.
And I got to agree with that. And one other thing about his British accent, which some people don't get, it's funny, in my business in advertising, all the guys with British accents, they think they're smarter just automatically. He's got a British accent, he must be smarter. So maybe just by him speaking a little differently, he might be taken more seriously by businesses from out of this country, out of this county, out of this area. When he goes and talks to them, they're saying, wow, that guy from England came here and he got elected mayor of Dayton. It is the land of opportunity. How about that?
Go out to the boon, he's like, hey, that British guy knows a whole lot about farming.
And on that, we'll see you tomorrow.
Later.